And that feeling of walking up the steps at Wembley and lifting the FA Cup is miles bigger than when I've lifted the Premier League trophy or the Champions League.
You've got a goalkeeper who I don't think he trusts, and you've got a number 9 who couldn't hit a barn door at the moment. Right?
We had a little spat, me and Cunha, on social media.
You and him?
Yeah.
Oh! I just literally want to go in the solly, just down the road from the Kop, chink a pint with me, mate, you know what I mean, and say, we've done it.
If someone could offer you one now, Champions League football or winning the FA Cup?
Champions League.
I just think...
I'm surprised you said that.
I'd go Keane, Scholes and De Bruyne.
No, Stevie Gerrard, no.
Did either of you hear your family in the crowd, like, with your sticker and thing?
You can't not hear the Carraghers, mate.
Hello and welcome back to the Fan Debate, brought to you by Sky Bet. And this week I'm delighted to be joined by one of England's, Europe's and the world's greatest strikers, Wayne Rooney. Right, you've been on stick to football, been doing a bit of punditry, you got a FA Cup semi-final at the weekend. What are you looking in terms of management, punditry? You still almost got your...
Yeah, no, obviously I'm not coaching, so the punditry is the next best thing, really, to go into, and you're still going to games, you're still talking about the game. And I'm in no rush, to be honest, to go into management. Obviously, I've done it 4 times, and very difficult jobs, all 4 of them. So at the minute, if the right thing comes up, of course, I'll look at it, but I'm not in the biggest of rushes to go back into it.
Okay. Gareth, we're going to start with you, because it looks like, well, not looks like, it is, Liverpool are 1 point away from winning the league on the back of Arsenal's results. I mean, come on, how are you feeling?
I was made up that Arsenal got that result, to be honest, because I was sat in the flat in my undies watching that one, and not ready to go on the aisle and celebrate. I'm made up that.
What would you have done if Palace had scored there later? I mean, would you have phoned that? Would you have?
I would have had to like ring me mates, wouldn't I? Ring me lads, said, well, "Come on, we're getting out. We've won the league after all this time in the way we're like in person, if you like, no COVID and all the rest of it." So I'm made up. It's rolled onto Anfield, and obviously it's still not done. We need the point. But, we've got a great record against Spurs. Spurs aren't great when they come to Anfield, etc. Soz Flav. Anyway, harsh. So, yeah, I think it's something we've all been gearing up to for a long time. Everyone's got plans. I don't think a lot's going to get done on Monday if we get that point we need. And look, I'm just really looking forward to it. That other one, the other league title victory during COVID didn't sort of say...
Still claiming that one?
Oh man, Wayne, we were brilliant that season. But you know what I mean? You just couldn't do all the things how you'd envisaged it. You know what I mean? I'm like 48 now, and I've never celebrated with me mates who I go the match with. Do you know what I mean? So I now get this opportunity to do so, and I haven't got any big plans. I just literally want to go in the solly, just down the road from the Kop, chink a pint with me, mate, you know what I mean, and say, we've done it, we've finally done it, do you know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to that, of course, I am.
This guy, just like you've said that, it's hit a raw nerve, they had the COVID season one. The season after was the proper COVID season, wasn't it? That was like there was no one in the fans for a year, was in the States.
Yeah, so it was cut in half,
so
the one we won.
City won the COVID season, didn't he, the year after?
When no one was in.
Yeah, but you're the one. You had like a 3-month break in the season. That's what he's saying.
No, we'd already won it.
Yeah, but we had a full continuous.
We'd absolutely pissed the league up.
I don't think anyone remembers that, did they, Jack?
But they do. We battered Leicester on Boxing Day.
But no one does remember it. It's weird because no one even looks at football. We're more concerned about
health,
whole world crumbling than Liverpool winning the league. You did do well, but it didn't really count.
But what I will say to you though is the first league I won. I was at home. We played Man City on the Saturday and beat them, and then Arsenal played Chelsea, and if Chelsea didn't win, we won the league, and that happened. So I was sat at home, and it didn't feel. It was weird, yeah. Rather than winning it and being there, it was a weird feeling, having to have my clothes ready to iron or get ironed because I can't iron. To go out. So yeah, it was. It's much better to stay ready.
What's it like, Wayne? So you've won obviously a number of Premier League titles, and you've probably won it in lots of different ways. What is the best way for you to win it?
Like there and then when you win it on the pitch and
being at home, is that a big thing?
Wigan, when we beat Wigan away, that was a really good one. Obviously you prefer to at home, but we played Wigan away just before the Champions League final, and to win that game, I think Ronaldo scored a penalty, then Giggsy scored to make it 2-0, and that was probably the best one and best feeling. We had the whole away stand, and that was the best one.
What about 2012, Wayne? Was that a good one? Aguero goal, mate.
I think it's just going to knock you out.
Your goal at Sunderland, mate. You scored against Sunderland away, and then Aguero.
Yeah, it was a good goal.
I think he remembers it.
Yeah, no, obviously, that was a tough one, that, yeah. But again, Paddy Kenny turned the ball in, I think 2 goals. QPR knew they were safe. City get to 2-2. Then he just put the ball back to them. Then they had Cisse on the pitch. Joey Barton got sent off for acting stupid. Who else was it? Sean Wright Phillips
Nederman
on the
was
pitch.
diving
And
about,
Neuer.
letting him in.
So you've got over it.
But he doesn't care, does he?
So that should have been looked into.
Paddy Kenny made it. 116.
It's not just 115, now it's 116. Wayne Rooney, that's the headline on the... Wayne Rooney wants Manchester City looking into it for the QPR game. Gareth, the other big news is obviously the signings. Listen, we've all spoke about it. You know, you've been on your platforms and your podcasts as well about the 2 players signing. Value, is it value for money?
I think so, because imagine trying to replace them. And I just think, you know, with Virgil, I know a lot of the focus rightly has been on Mo, but I think Virgil was almost more important for me, because he's the captain, he's the cultural leader. I think he's still brilliant. There's all people who spend an awful lot of time on the internet pointing out every time he makes a very small mistake, but what that says to me is he doesn't make many then, does he? And I think the way he plays, if you're watching him week in, week out, there's still loads in the tank. He's very resilient, he's playing most games. He only puts the burners on when he ever needs to. He just always seems to be in the right place most of the time. And I just think he would have been bordering on impossible to replace. I think as good as Mo's been, there are other wingers, because he's not even a striker, he's a winger. There are other wingers out there maybe Liverpool could have gone and got. So Virgil was the one that I was like really made up about. I'm made up they've both committed, and I think it's a big step in the right direction for next season. I think there's already a lot of work to do for me, which seems mad to say that when we're going to win the league. But I would say, you know, we could do with about 5 signings. So if those 2 had left, you're then looking at 7. You know what I mean? And there's no way Liverpool are signing 7 players in one transfer window. Probably not going to sign 5. So, yeah, I was delighted with that business.
Wayne, could I ask you, this comes up a lot about what you just said there about, it's like a thing online, isn't it? And probably you with strikers, Van Dijk with defenders, and, you know, Stevie with midfielders or Lampard, you know, all these type of things. But a thing that gets said a little bit about Van Dijk and modern sort of centre-backs is that the strikers they come up against aren't at the level that we saw before. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I just want to know your view about if, you know, I don't know if you've ever really come up against Van Dijk. How good do you think?
I've played against him, yeah. I think a flip to that as well. I think the defenders are nowhere near good enough. Not Van Dijk. I think Van Dijk is brilliant. I think Konate's been brilliant as well this season. But I think the majority of defenders are nowhere near as good as what he was. And the forwards, the game now has gone more positional and it's a lot slower. I think there's less running than there was 15 years ago in the game, because players are stuck in the positions. The number 9s are more to feet, and rather than, you know, there's no players running behind, challenging. I think watch the derby when Beto ran in behind. He caused big problems because they're probably not used to it. Players running behind, it doesn't happen anymore. The wingers don't get out wide and get a fullbacks no more. So I think for defenders, it's a little bit easier the way the game's gone. Whether that's right or wrong, you know, you don't know. But I don't think they're getting challenged anywhere near. You know, if I was playing against Van Dijk, and normally I'd have, you know, a Tevez or Louis Saha or Van Nistelrooy alongside you. The first thing you want to do is you know, try and put a tackling on them, or when the ball goes to the fullback, that's your opportunity to go and leave one on them. And you know,
great at it.
No, but that part of the game is gone, so it's not as difficult. But I'm not saying Van Dijk certainly is more than good enough to go and play at that time when that was happening. He's probably the best centre back.
You know when you say that they're not as good, or is he just different? Is it just...
It's different, yeah. The culture of the game has changed a lot, obviously, since Pep's come in. If you've got them players, you know, what we've seen Pep do over the last 4 years is, you know, incredible. Some of the best football you'd see. But then everyone has tried to do it, and teams who aren't good enough to do it have struggled. And you've seen, obviously, company with Burnley when they come to the Premier League, Russell Martin with Southampton, trying to do it when you haven't got the players in that league is very difficult. So it's the game has changed massively from, you know, 10, 15 years ago, and it's not as physical, it's not as demanding, if you like, to what it used to be.
I mean, I wish I was playing today as a defender when you don't have centre forwards looking to do you in the first 5 minutes. I mean, when we want to leave one on them.
Hell, you can't. So.
Gareth, I just want to ask you one last question. You talk about Liverpool needing 5 players, and I totally agree with you. I said that a few weeks ago. But if there was one player out there right now, I mean, realistically, not just like a name who everybody wants, but realistically, you think that would make a massive improvement to our team?
I think a gettable one, because I mean, you know, you can say, oh, I'd love Isaac, but you wouldn't like. But you know, I like the left back at Bournemouth. I think he's gettable. I think he's better than what we've got. I think Andy Robertson's still got something to offer despite all the criticism, but I'm not sure he can do the minutes and the games he's been doing for however many years it is now. And Simicast, I'm not really having him, to be honest. I think he's all right, but he's more like a job and left back for me. And if he moved on and you got Carragher in, I think that would be a good sign.
Livy, you will get your chance to reply to that. I've got to go to Flav at the moment. Flav, Europa League semi-final, something to look forward to. There was a report a few days ago in the press, whether it's true or not, that no matter what happens in the Europa League, that it looks like you have a new manager next season. I mean, where are you on that and sort of this Europa League run and the manager's situation?
I mean, the Europa League run has guaranteed that Ange Postecoglou is still Tottenham manager. I don't think without that run he would still be here. He'd probably gone a couple of months back.
No, I mean in terms of winning it. You know,
can we win it?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying is if you win it, you'd be absolutely ecstatic.
Yeah.
Do you think it affects the manager's situation, or do you think it's already been decided?
Sorry, yeah. I don't think it changes the situation. I think it's clear, given what's happened in the Premier League this year, that you can't lose 18 games. There is an issue systematically, tactically, and his influence over these players have meant that we've lost that many games. You can't do that. No, he doesn't survive anywhere at any other club, and it's the Europa League that's kept him in the job. So I think that regardless of what happens, even if he wins it, probably the most sensible thing to do would be to find a new manager, shake hands, mutual agreement, and walk away. Will Daniel Levy do that, though? Because he's finally found a manager who's won something despite the league form, and he has to sack a winning manager. And regardless of what happens, you can't change that fact. So the criticism of which he's already receiving an absolute barrage is going to be that if the next manager inevitably fails, as it probably will under Daniel Levy, that the question will be, you've sacked a winning manager. The right thing would be to, like I say, shake hands and walk away. We've got to win it first. Which there's United.
Are you confident you could win that? Yeah. And listen, you've got a Norwegian team in the semi-final, Bodo Glimt, who actually, I think, beat Ange's team, Celtic, a few years ago.
Yeah, they did, home and away, Celtic in the Champions League qualifiers maybe, or maybe it was the Europa League, whatever. Going to Norway, playing them isn't easy. You saw Lazio get turned over.
Plastic pitch,
exposed to the elements, small ground, everything is in their favour. And they battered Lazio in that first leg. It was 2-0, but they could have had more. So we have to do a job over them in the first leg and really show the kind of spirit and mentality that you saw against Frankfurt, which was a really weird performance because it was that kind of performance that we'd like to have seen in the Premier League. You've been saying it, and it's been frustrating to hear when you're hoping your team change and Ange delivers results, but you've been saying and criticising him for a good year now, and it's fair because we've been too easy to get at and the midfield's been too exposed. Against Frankfurt, it all went away. All the problems went away. We started playing long. We didn't insist on playing out from the back when you've got an entire Frankfurt crowd baying for blood. They're pressing. The last thing you want to do is play out from the back in that moment, and we'd stopped doing it. And I don't know where that came from, whether it's Ange Postecoglou or the players took it upon themselves. It must have come from Ange, because they're still with him. But, if we win Europa League, what this season, and he will be remembered very fondly, despite the league form.
Wayne, what's your take on when you watch Tottenham? I love watching them play.
I remember I was at the game at Old Trafford early in the season, and they were incredible. I thought Tottenham were unbelievable. They absolutely destroyed Man United in that game. And then I watched them against Galatasaray away, and I couldn't believe what I was watching. What you just said there, they kept trying to play out from the back, kept getting caught on the ball, and it could have been 6-7-0 to Galatasaray. So the Frankfurt one, I think, was there was definitely a change in how they were playing. But I think it's interesting the two teams who really are unwilling to change is Man United and Tottenham, and they keep losing games. So somewhere something is not going right, and so you have to change just to flip that mindset and that mentality of the players, I think, and the fans as well, because we've seen, I done Match of the Day the other week and saying about Tottenham kept trying to play out from the back, and then when the keeper did go long, you can hear the ironic cheers from the fans. So you need to try and flip that to get the fans back on side with you, and I think they've done that in the last game. I think it'll be a shootout between United and Tottenham in the final. I do for a Champions League spot, which will save someone's season. Really.
I mean, I can't see Tottenham winning the trophy just for the fact that I think you'll get to the final.
Cheers.
I can't see it. No, but I can't see you beating Bilbao in their own stadium in a final. I think that'd be tough for anybody, and I don't agree with that.
I fear Bilbao more than I do United in a final.
Yeah, I get that, but
We'll beat you 3 times already.
You don't beat us in a European final.
There's no way Tottenham beat Man United in a European final. No chance.
Not a chance.
What, because of all the faith?
History, mentality. They're just a club who will find a way to win.
They're intangibles. They don't really exist.
They do.
It does.
Man United, what they did the other night in the game, and they scored 3 late goals. Whatever. I was devastated.
But we
watching
did
it.
that against
But
Ajax.
Man United have got an ability to win games that they should. They beat Man City in the FA Cup final last season. I just don't. I just think the whole Man United in a European final would be too much for Tottenham.
Just you wait.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope you do beat them.
Can I
Gotta
just...
beat Bodo first.
Yeah, we probably won't get
You've
past
got to beat
Bodo.
Bilbao.
I know. Don't worry about that. I know.
Can I just make a comment about Thursday night as well? Because we're unlikely to win. But it's important that Daniel Levy is inside that stadium in Anfield, because what they've done, what you guys have done over the last 10 years under Klopp, but the smart acquisitions, they haven't gone about it in the way that City have, which is a different outfit, and Chelsea. They've gone about it in the right way. And by Liverpool winning this trophy in a legitimate way, holds up a mirror to teams like
So is this the first legitimate Premier League title win in 5 years?
Yeah, easily. But the thing is...
It's not even going to nibble up.
all jokes
Just
aside,
that.
jokes aside, right? You're looking at it and you're thinking, this is what it takes. This is what a winning football club looks like. And from the top down, that's embedded in what Liverpool are. At Spurs, it ain't that. Because the messaging coming from Daniel Levy is regulation, pragmatism, playing by the rules, operating within your own means. That's not what ambitious football clubs do. And I get it. It's good that we're sort of balancing the books and all that sort of stuff. You've got Chelsea, and I'm not saying let's be like Chelsea, selling their ladies' team to themselves in order to spend more money in the advent that they might possibly win a trophy one day. There are ways to operate, and the way Daniel Levy is running Tottenham means that the likelihood of us ever achieving what Liverpool are about to do on Thursday is so small, and so he should be a bear witness to this on Thursday.
But I heard yesterday, I don't know if it's right or wrong, you can tell me, and just spent 400 million on it in 2 seasons.
Yeah, but is it 400 million?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not
It's
about
a lot of money.
Yeah. But does it look like we spent 400 million on the pitch? Who's he employed?
So that's so from a point of view, then you're looking at obviously Ange and recruitment. You're not so much looking at Daniel Levy. So
No, you are. It's not. It isn't just a great.
he's give the money.
No, it isn't just about giving money though. It's about the environment that you create and whether or not it breeds success. And 25 years will show that it doesn't. Look what Forest have done. No one thinks that Forest should be in the Champions League apart from what they've done this year. It comes from the owner. When he was willing, and I'm not advocating breaking the rules. Right?
It sounds like you are.
No, I'm saying it develops a mentality in a football club that almost it just pushes you towards a success in the way that it doesn't at Spurs. They went about spending their money. All right, they cheated a little bit to stay in the league.
It's cheated a little bit, and then we've had nothing proven. But you're calling us cheats? What's that about?
You said you weren't going to buy it?
Yeah, what? I didn't call you.
I wasn't going to nibble. I didn't say anything.
I didn't call you cheats. I said legitimate.
But you don't
title
think Forest
winning,
is more to do with Nuno rather than the ownership?
No, I think so. I think it all comes from the ownership. I think Nuno's done a great job, but all of the good work comes from their owners. It starts from the top and filters down.
It depends how involved your
No, I'm not
owner wants
having
to
a go.
get, because if you look at, like my time, for instance, at Man United, the Glazers, obviously still owners, were never at the football club.
Yeah, they pump
But,
money in.
yeah, but then that chemistry, that environment was built through Alex Ferguson. So nothing to do with the Glazers, that environment which we have. So it depends how much involvement Daniel Levy wants to have. Because normally what I think at most clubs, the manager, the staff all around the place create that environment, not so much the owner. So I wouldn't say Daniel Levy's at training ground every day saying this is how we're doing this is what we're doing this. And normally it's the manager who's setting them boundaries and them rules for what happens around the training ground.
With the 400 million spent, though, it's like Solanke and Johnson, they're cheap wages, aren't they? It's not like they've spent the money and then it's 400
Thank you, Greg.
a week as
Thank
well.
you, Greg. Yeah, he's right. He's absolutely right. There's one thing about money spent, but there's also about wages to players, and it's like £100 million less a year than Arsenal, and we're supposed to be competing. Do Arsenal operate like an ambitious football club? Can they win the league? Can you answer the same questions for Spurs? No. It's because of Daniel Levy.
Well, talking about winning the title, Luke, are you getting a little bit more optimistic about next season, the run that Manchester City are on right now? And do you think there's any chance that you could actually catch Arsenal?
Yeah, I think there is. I think there genuinely is. I think, we were like 12, 13, 14 points behind them, and we're 6 now. And you look at the games they've got left, I know they're not going to be really caring about the Premier League. You'd think they're in the Champions League for next season, pretty much locked off. But they've got PSG twice. Obviously, that's their season basically on the line there. And we've got, obviously, FA Cup, but we've got 4 fairly favourable Premier League games. So if we were to win them, I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but if we can, and Arsenal have got Liverpool, they've got Newcastle, they've got Bournemouth to play, all good teams, I think there's a chance that they might not be second after all.
Is there any chance you and him are going to go for a pint at the weekend at the FA Cup semi-final, you and Greg?
I think Greg's getting there a bit earlier than me, to be fair. He might be a bit hammered, but... No, I definitely... I'll give him a call after 90 minutes and we'll see who's happier.
Can you get served?
Don't do that to me, Greg, mate.
It's time for our new game, On the Winning Track, brought to you by Trainline. Their best price guarantee means you won't find cheaper same-day train tickets anywhere else. And even if you do, Trainline will fund the difference. Exclusions and conditions apply. Search best price guarantee on trainline.com. Right, here's how the game's going to go. Right then, our fans will compete against each other to identify a mystery footballer here on our Trainline board. So, Wayne, place each club as they appear on the board, and you've obviously got to know where they are geographically. Can you be better than Scholesy?
No.
The only clues they will receive are the teams that said mystery player appeared for from the start of their career to the finish. First team appearances only, loans don't count. The winning team will receive a Trainline voucher. That will come in handy on the next away day. But there is a catch. If you guess and you are wrong, you are out of that round, okay? And to answer, you need to shout your name and raise your hand. Baz, I'm looking at you.
Okay.
No, you just like shouting out, don't you?
No, I've made him yet. I'm the only one who puts my hand up.
You're just shouting out? No. If needed, here's an example. So let's look at the board. Okay, so that's... Go on, was it? Man United,
Arsenal, Watford, Brighton.
Yeah. Who do you think it is?
Don't know.
You played with
It's
him.
on the back there, isn't it? You played with him? Yeah, I'll go on. Who do you think it could be? So started at Man United as a kid.
Oh, Welbeck.
Yeah, Danny Welbeck. So that's the example anyway. Okay, it's the best of 3, and it's Greg v Flav.
Is it?
It is. Okay? Go on, so put the first one in. Go on, Waz.
I'm going to go there.
That's not there.
Well, where is it then?
Is that Villa?
It's almost
To the
there.
right a bit.
Better than Scholes, eh? So if we go,
Around.
Yeah, if you get
Yeah.
it wrong, you're out. So just wait.
Right, so don't say anything then.
so no one's having a go now.
No.
Team 2, please, Wayne.
Can I have a go?
It's too obvious, surely.
Fabian Del.
You're out.
Wait, who was that Leeds and that?
It's fine. He won't get...
Next one, please, Wayne.
Well, there's one after then.
Right next to this then, somewhere.
He's took the way fucking hell is there, innit?
It's fucking the same place. My centimetres.
Right.
Wrexham.
Wait. Come on. Are you going to have a go? Are you going to have a guess? Or are you going to wait for the last clue?
No, wait.
Come on, Greg.
You'll wait.
Come on. Have a go.
I'll have another.
No, I'm delighted.
my game.
I want to see where Wayne's going to put West Brom.
Well, it's got to be fucking anywhere.
Yeah.
Right next to it.
I still don't know.
Oh, Greg.
Come on, wow.
Greg, I'm not good with
No?
stuff like this, no.
Right. Anyone else?
Gareth Barry.
It was Gareth Barry, but unfortunately you're not playing bad. So Wayne, get
Put me hand up.
I'm not a Premier League fan, remember?
All-time
I'm new
Prem.
to it.
You gotta pretend you're used to it.
Right. Mystery player 2.
Is it us again?
Yeah, use it on again. It's the best of the 3, isn't it? Go on, Wayne. So the first one for this player is Charlton Athletic. Round here.
Somewhere, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know it?
No, you're not going to go with that one, are you?
Do I not?
I think you might get it on the next one.
All right.
Okay.
This-
Next team, Wayne. Yeah, no.
You know it. Go on, Flav.
It's not Spurs, it's Chelsea.
Go on, Flav.
You should get. I think you should get it.
That is Flav.
Come on.
You left Charlton
Flav, come on.
with Chelsea.
Flav, come on. You know that.
Get it right, Flav,
Is it
please.
Scott Parker?
Yeah.
Yes. Well done.
What, it could only be Scott Parker?
That could only be Scott Parker.
So why did you say is it only Scott Parker?
Did he shout his name and put his hand up though?
No.
Oh, come on.
No, we'll give him that one. Right, last one, boys. Right, the third player we've got. To be honest, I'm not sure whether this one will go. Right. I'm not great on my South Coast. So this player, his first club Wayne was Portsmouth. Is that? I mean, that's
Close, that is. That's about bang on.
Further to the right.
I don't know if Bournemouth or Portsmouth where they are, mate. So that right, yeah. Yeah, perfect. Next one, please, Wayne.
That way.
It's still like East Midlands.
That's about it.
Any idea?
I've got an inclination.
Okay.
Don't
Well,
say it.
I'm waiting for another clue.
Okay. Next one, Wayne. Chelsea.
Oh, no.
It's gone.
Yeah.
That was it.
Inclination is gone.
Who was you thinking?
Well, I was going to go Peter Crouch.
Okay.
Oh, you're wrong then, aren't you?
What?
Yeah, but that wasn't... What? Sorry, did he not play? Did he not play for Portsmouth and Stoke?
Yeah, but he didn't start Portsmouth.
Oh.
He went Portsmouth
that-
on...
I wouldn't start giving him stiff. You haven't had one answer. Named anybody. The next one, please, Wayne. Again, the South Coast.
I don't know which side, but...
I know, I'm the same. It's just...
I've got it. I've got it. It's Begovic. It's Begovic. Is it Begovic?
Yeah.
It is Begovic. Well done, Flav. You won 2-0.
Thank you very
Well done.
much.
Brilliant.
Cheers.
I thought I did all right.
Another game next week, thanks to Trainline. Remember to download the Trainline app and search Best Price Guarantee on trainline.com. Kevin De Bruyne.
I was good. I was good, honestly. I was good when that news came out. But I think the performances of late maybe aren't what he can give us for a full season. I can see why the club have made the decision they have. Lots of fans are out there now saying, give him a new deal, give him a new deal. As much as I'd, for nostalgia and for how good he's playing right now, want to give him a new deal. Maybe it's not the right decision. I'm not the one to make that decision. Do you know what I mean? I'd love to put a contract in front of him now and make him sign it. But if that's the decision the club have made, we just got to trust that and hopefully make some signings in the summer.
Wayne, are we going to miss in the Premier League one of the greatest midfield players
Yeah,
we've
he's-
seen in this league?
he's been incredible. I agree. I think City have got to make a decision, and they have. And I think it's probably the right time.
He's our best ever player.
It's the right time, I think, for them to make that decision. And I think now with financial fair play, you can't just keep a player at the football club for what he's done. And I'm sure he wants to play. City are obviously going to have to go and try and replace him. But in terms of a player over the last, was it 10 years? He's been there. He's incredible. And very similar, in my opinion, just a little bit ahead in terms of an attacking point of view to Stevie. Similar traits to what Stevie is. Stevie was more of a all-round player, but I think in that attacking third, De Bruyne was incredible.
Okay, you've obviously we've just said he's one of the greatest players we've seen in the Premier League. You've said he's City's greatest ever player. You said in an attacking sense, he's maybe just got the edge on Steven Gerrard. I mean, where do we all think where Kevin De Bruyne lies in terms of, if we're picking an all-time Premier League 11 in your head, does Kevin De Bruyne get in it? And if he does, raise your hand.
Yeah.
Oh!
I don't know.
Oh!
Yeah, put him in, yeah.
Adam hasn't got him in.
That's embarrassing, mate.
Is that how?
That's embarrassing.
How is it embarrassing?
He quite comfortably gets in. Who's getting? What three midfielders are going in front of him?
Well, Paul Scholes is ahead of him, in my opinion. If you're playing two attacking midfielders, I think there's plenty more.
You're stumbling, just say.
I'd probably pick Roy Keane ahead of him. Different midfielders again. Gerrard probably ahead of him. I think he's a fantastic player, but I seen you say you think he's after Henry, the biggest import to the Premier League. I just can't agree with that at all. Just don't agree with it. I think people are going too far. Everything nowadays has to be the best, isn't it?
I'm not sure about that because we just said Scholes and Gerrard and.
No, but that's how everything is reported. Van Dijk's the greatest centre back ever. Salah's this and that, and
you've got a problem with Liverpool, haven't you?
No, Kevin De Bruyne doesn't play for. Well, I've got a problem with Liverpool. Yeah,
he's going to have gone 7 years with only City.
But I think it depends on influence as well, and influence, like in my opinion, Cantona was unbelievable in terms of as a player, but in terms of the influence he had on that group of young players at the time, I think you have to look at the influence which a player has. Zola, Bergkamp, players like that who are incredible players. So there's that. Listen, you could have De Bruyne in or not have De Bruyne in. I think there's that many players to choose from. I don't think you're right or wrong for having them in. But
I think what you said there, I think probably sums up a little bit about. I think we always think of those three. Cantona, Zola, Berg, they felt like the first, didn't they? Almost like they almost built the Premier League in terms of foreign players. You think of mid-90s, I think of those players. And I think we look back on that. Listen, they are three legends of the Premier League. And I think when we compare them to sort of players now, we always think about them and no one's got a bad word to say about them, rightly so. But those three players we're talking about, their teams never won the champion. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if we take it for granted. Like I said, so what Cantona did, but we all know that United team found it tough. They were getting used to Europe. Cantona was probably never himself in Europe, but like, comfortably getting to semi-finals and winning it and getting to a final. Kevin De Bruyne's won the Champions League. We expect our teams to win the Champions League now, but in those days, in the early 90s, mid-90s, it was all just about the Premier League and there was foreign players and it was new and it was flashy and it was amazing. But those players never achieved what players did 10 or 15 years later in terms of being the best players in the world or being the best team in Europe.
I think that's because the Premier League's come on that much. And,
maybe.
And Serie A has dropped. The league is probably nowhere near as good as what it was. So I think there's a reason for that as well, why that's happening. Like if you look at De Bruyne, in my opinion, David Silva is right up there as well. From what he done, you look at that team, you've got Silva, De Bruyne, Aguero, you've got some unbelievable players, established players in that team. Where what I was saying about Cantona is he had a group of young players
more than what he did on the pitch,
who come in, and he was a massive influence on them players, which then obviously weren't there for the Champions League when they won it, but the influence we had in helping them get to that level, I think that's why I think Cantona was.
There were times as well with Eric where we could only play 3 foreign players, which included the Irish lads as well. So you couldn't always play like Schmeichel was being left out at times, Cantona was being left out.
You're just thinking of that Barcelona game away, aren't you?
Which one?
The 4-0 one.
Yeah, but still, I just think when you look at like Cantona, you look at his legacy as well. I think it does get forgotten quite easy. You look at, he won the league at Leeds, and then he won it every year. The only year we didn't win it was when he was suspended for kicking the fan. So his legacy, I think, will just live on for a long, long time. And we probably don't go on to achieve what we did after. Like I said, he was a great leader.
You said no to De Bruyne. You said yes. Rather than going through your full 11, Wayne, who would you be your midfield three then, and who would be yours? If you've got him in and you haven't.
I'd go Keane, Scholes and De Bruyne.
No Stevie Gerrard, no?
Keane, Scholes, Vieira. If it was a 3.
Scholes, Vieira.
But I'd probably go 4-4-2, just keep it old Mike Bassett route.
Go on, you might as well say the old team.
It changed all the time. Waz is in it.
Is Scholes going on the left?
Waz is in it. Nah. Scholes would be in the middle of a midfield 3.
Even in a 4-4-2?
Oh, sorry, 4-4-2. If I played a 4-4-2, it'd be Keane, Scholes, Beckham, Giggs. Still not a better midfield than that.
Yeah. Okay, listen, that's opinions, isn't it? Greg, FA Cup semi-final, obviously against Manchester City. You beat them a few weeks ago as well. How confident are you?
It just, like you were talking about Man U being good in cups, it's like they're seasoned at it, aren't they? So feels strange being in that like group of teams now. But yeah, of course we can beat them. We've beaten them before. We like the big pictures now, and yeah, it's just going to be a good day for Forest. Celebration of how we've come.
I'm going to ask you, I know you're going to say you want both. I get that. But if someone could offer you one now, Champions League football or winning the FA Cup?
Champions League. I think the Champions League...
I'm surprised you said that.
The Champions League will put us to a place where we can win FA Cups in the future.
It won't.
It will. The money, the way our owner is, we talk about ambition. This isn't just a fluke. This isn't just, we've had a good season. When we got promoted, he said this would happen when he was in the middle of the square, and he said, this isn't the end, this is the beginning. We're going to get Champions League football, we're going to win trophies. And this is what we're seeing.
So will he have to, because he's got Olympiacos as well, has he?
Yeah.
We have to sell one of them.
He's got three teams. Don't worry about that.
It's sort something I won't
Don't worry about that.
No, but Greg, I have to not pull you up. And listen, I love the fact that you...
I would love the FA Cup. I would love to go through the market square with that in our hands. It'd be incredible.
I just think there's been... And forget this Big Six. There is no Big Six anymore. I hope that has finished, this idea. But what I would say is... I think it's difficult. It's very... Baz is there with Everton. So Everton got into the Champions League probably 20 years ago, and you think it doesn't happen again. Villa got in last year, might just miss out this year. Newcastle got in with Eddie Howe. I think they've had a couple of seasons out now. You might always be challenged. I think if you're in a position where you're challenging for Europe every year, that would be amazing. But I think this idea that once you get in the Champions League, this is us set for years. We're going to... won't happen.
It's the squad we will build. Look at Aston Villa's bench.
What about all the other
on
teams that are in the
Tuesday?
Champions League as well?
Yeah, exactly. We'll be in that group. Like, of course, I'd love to win the FA Cup, but
you'd be in that group for 1 year, and then
look at Wigan.
Forest won't qualify for Champions League.
Wigan, Leicester, Portsmouth have all won the FA Cup in the last 20 years. Look at them now.
I know you could go down, and one day I can assure you, Nottingham Forest will go down again. But
it's like Leicester won the Premier League, then they're in the Champions League, then they've had 2 relegations in the last 3 years. So I think the Champions League, as good as it is to play in and be involved in, I just think you're better building your squad first, because I think that can give you false hope. You're better building your squad to get into it so you're capable of competing in it. I think if Forest go in, I think they'll get knocked out fairly quickly, in my opinion. But winning the FA Cup, having that history...
It's a moment.
I completely get it, and you're asking me 2 questions that have incredible outcomes. Yeah. It's not like that, but I'm 40 years old. I've never been to the San Siro. I want to go to these places. I want to follow my team around Europe. I've been to Wembley.
Can I just ask? I mean, listen, we're asking you a question. That's your answer. So who are we to argue? We have argued about it. Really, we shouldn't be, because that's how you say it. But what I'm saying is, if most of you in here, and what would yours be like? And I'm not going to ask Liverpool or United, you expect to be in the Champions League, and
I think you should ask, though.
Well, that's it.
What if Liverpool weren't in the Champions League?
What I'm saying is, if you're a club who isn't used to sort of always being in the Champions League or always being in an FA Cup final, and if it's one or the other, I mean,
if it's one or the other, it's an FA Cup.
We would have loved to got to the FA Cup, even semi-final.
Yeah.
It was gutted. Yeah, that would have been.
Should have all tried harder.
I've travelled all over Europe watching Spurs play in the Champions League and Europa League, and it would definitely be the occasion of winning an FA Cup. Like, I remember the trips because they were nice, but they're just games of football. Winning an FA Cup is...
Your name's on the FA Cup forever.
Yeah.
It's already on there twice.
So you're wrong, Greg.
Yeah, no.
Like it is the Champions League.
Yeah, but not in...
We'll answer that question again, Greg.
But like in 10 years' time, it might be a pub quiz.
We're not going to play the kids on Sunday, put it that way. It's not like they've got my opinion. It's just, if it had to be one or the other, for me, it's Champions League.
You could fix English football by giving the FA Cup winner that 5th Champions League spot. I think that would do so much for
Well, you could fix English football by...
I think there's too many teams anyway in the Champions League.
5
I think 4's too much.
The FA Cup lost a bit of its shine when Man United decided to not go in it.
They play. Hold on a minute. That's a myth. Hold on a minute. That's a myth.
Hold on.
That's a myth pushed by the
FA
UK
Cup
government.
semi-finals the same time where Liverpool are going to win the league. You asked me about how big the FA Cup is. It's not me diluting it. It's like the other things that happen now, which makes fans go, it's all about Champions League. Yeah. If we're that serious about the FA Cup, make it as big as it was.
But what about you? Like, if it's me, I want Everton to win the FA Cup first. I agree. But one year, Greg, honestly.
Also, you've been in the Europa League.
I get it.
You'll still be in Europe.
1 year doesn't change it into a Champions League club.
You're not,
I don't believe, honestly, if Everton got in 1 year, I'd be thinking, can we build? And, like, that's why I'm really impressed with Villa. They got in, and they might get in again. That's when you go, right, they are sort of getting in that. I think win the FA Cup and build, you've got that, haven't you? No one can take it off. And how old are you? 40?
Yeah.
So how many FA Cups have you seen Forest win?
Well, I saw us get cheated out.
No. How many FA Cups have you seen Forest
Don't bring up that now.
No,
That's
but I'm
hurt
saying,
me.
no, but Greg, we've won 5, but we haven't won one for 30 years. I'd swap.
I remember it. Was it 96?
95.
95.
We beat Man United.
Brilliant. Yeah. That's what made me
Wayne
like
was
Everton
probably
a
there.
bit, but
I was there, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So the FA Cup is the only, as a fan, it's the only trophy I've seen Everton win.
Yeah. Don't forget the Charity Shield a few months later against Blackburn.
Samways.
yeah, but that's another point, actually. You win the FA Cup, but Community Shield against you guys.
As a player, I can tell you from a player's point of view, we lost final on penalties to Arsenal. Then we lost in extra time to Chelsea. The FA Cup was always something which I was desperate to win. And then we went down against Palace when Pardew was doing the dance. I was captain. And that feeling of walking up the steps at Wembley and lifting the FA Cup is miles bigger than when I've lifted the Premier League trophy or the Champions League. That feeling of it's the FA Cup. It's historically, it's you've won it. It's such a good feeling for a player. So for fans, it must be. Well, I know it's incredible.
You'd won. So the stage you won the FA Cup was probably towards the end of your career. Yeah. You'd won everything before that. You know, your Champions League, your league, probably World Club Cup. Was that like always at the back of your mind? Because people always say to me, and Steve, don't know you haven't won the league, but I mean, someone asked me a question the other day about who'd won. Rio Ferdinand hadn't won the FA Cup. I couldn't believe it. I didn't know. You know what I mean? Yeah, so what I'm saying is, was that on your mind, even though you've won everything? You're thinking, I've got to get an FA Cup before I finish.
Because the FA Cup was always, as a fan, it was always something which you're hoping your team can go to quarterfinals, semi-finals, and then obviously to see Everton win it in '95 was such a big occasion, something which always sticks with me. And driving back to Croxteth and going into the pub with my parents and all the family, them celebrations, something which always lives with you. And then to win it as captain as well. I remember we had 2 parties. We had one for the players and families, one for the commercial team. And they tried to take the FA Cup to the commercial team after the game. So I've no chance. So I've kept it, took it to our party, and I always remember I took it to my room. And at the time, my 2 boys, they were in bed asleep, and I put it in between them, and they slept in the bed with the FA Cup. And then I give them back the next day. But I think it's got that much history around it, and I used to love the build-up now when you're younger and it's on for hours.
It
follows the buses.
Following the buses, all that. It's like, it has been diluted. It's definitely been diluted.
Stopped us winning it in 2016, didn't you? Edin Lukaku's shot off the line. Wouldn't have had to wait 30 years for that.
Never let it go.
Never going to let it go.
Right, Dave, Wolves fan, welcome back.
Thank
You're
you.
on absolute fire at the moment. The manager's coming and done absolutely brilliant, hasn't he? I mean, 5 wins on the bounce. How are you feeling?
Good. It's nice to be... I honestly thought the last time I was on here just before Christmas was when he just got appointed. Obviously, we were talking about the car crash interview that he had with Everton, on Sky about Everton a few years ago, and I think there were a lot of Wolves fans a little bit cautious about him coming in, but yeah, he got off to a good start, had a bit of a sticky patch, but yeah, he's really kicking on now, and it's nice just to have a bit of momentum to go into the end of the season. Obviously, overall, it's not been a great campaign, but if we can go into a new season with all this momentum, hopefully it shows the owners can back him a little bit more and really push on and build next year. The last few years, it's always felt like it's been a non-event for the last few weeks, but under Vitor, look, we're safe now, but we just want to continue this winning run, and we can do that.
Is there a little bit? I'm just thinking back to sort of Lopetegui came in and had a big impact at Wolves, and you loved him as a manager, and then he was gone again really quickly. Are you worried because he's done so well in the Premier League that other clubs might be looking at him, not just in England, but abroad as well?
Possibly. I think the Lopetegui situation was that he wanted to stay, but it just didn't get backed enough by the owners. And it was a weird relationship with Lopetegui because he was at the time, such a world-class manager almost. It was a really good appointment for Wolves. And then his season ended up quite, there was a few poor results, heavy defeats against Arsenal on the final day. I don't know. I think one of the main reasons Vitor has probably come here is because of, Premier League is a huge league, like Wayne said earlier, and the best in the world at the moment, I would say. So in terms of a manager's reputation, it's brilliant. But there's something about him, the relationship with the fans. He's going to the pubs after the game to meet the fans. It's just unbelievable. Never seen that with a manager before. So the relationship is there.
I have, yeah. I'm trouble for that.
Karaoke,
I've never seen just going to Wetherspoons after the game, just have pictures with fans going out. It's amazing, and there's a lot of comparisons to Nuno. I mean, you would have seen, had a great relationship with Nuno and the Forest fans, but this is something really, really different. And I think when you're getting that relationship with the fans off the pitch, they're going to support you on the pitch, and I think it's been a huge help over the last few weeks.
Cunha, your best player.
Yeah.
Reports that he's joining Manchester United in the summer. I mean, how good is he? Do you think you can cope without him?
I think so. I mean, the winning run, 4 of the 5 wins were without him, or 5 of the 6 unbeaten were without him. So I think it was refreshing, I think, to see us play so well and win football matches without him. Look, there's no denying he's an unbelievable footballer, but off the pitch, I think some of the things that he's doing on social media and so on. We had a little spat, me and Cunha, on social media where
and him?
Yeah.
You're not saying it?
No.
Oh!
It was just, I reported on something he said and he didn't like the fact that I was talking about it. So we had a little back and forth with him, and thankfully all Wolves fans are sort of on my side of it. But I think just off the pitch, it's really, really weird. Unbelievable footballer, but as a club in Wolves' position where at the moment, look, we're not fighting for the European places or whatever. We've just got to hope that we've got 11 players on the pitch that want to give it their all. And at times I don't see that with Cunha. And when it's a soap opera every other week off the pitch, that's a little bit of a concern. So I think Vitor would think the same as well. Yes, fantastic footballer, but we want 11 players on the pitch that are going to let do their talking on the pitch. Wayne, over the last few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't aware of that situation. I mean, Wayne, do you think that's right, that players at a club should be going back at their own fans online?
There has to be an element of control over it, but I think that's the way the game is. The fans enjoy when players are interacting. As you said, the manager going down having a drink with fans, players interacting on social media, the fans enjoy it, and there has to be a line, of course, that you can't cross.
If I was being
as a player as well, but I think what happens, players get frustrated as well because there is that many. I know firsthand the amount of abuse players get from people who don't even watch games and stuff. So it's important that you try not to react to that, and that's why a lot of players now don't control the social media, and they have people doing it for them from that point of view. So I think you just have to have the balance right. Yeah.
I saw something on social media, I think it was 2 days ago, it was the anniversary of your tweet today? Do
you know what? Rio kept saying to everyone about going on Twitter, I had no idea what it was. And I just written it as a joke. I I've written it to myself as well. I don't even know how it worked. So,
Mr. Bean as well. You did a tweet about Mr. Bean. You just put Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, I've done a few,
Bring your
yeah.
sandwich girl was another good one.
Yeah, I've had a few. Yeah.
But anyway, let's get back to Cunha. How good do you think he is? And is he good enough for Manchester United? Is that a step in the right direction?
I think there's a lot of players good enough for Man United at the minute. No, I think he's a top player, and for Man United it's difficult to, because a lot of players have gone there with ability and reputation and have struggled over the last few years. So it's difficult. I think what United at the minute need to do is really identify a core group of players who can help sustain the club over the next 2 or 3 years, and instead of going for, which they've done in the past with Lukaku, with Pogba, with Zlatan, going for superstars and names, which I don't think Cunha's at that level at the minute, but they need to really get it, and plus financial fair play might hit United as well, so they have to really, the recruitment has to be miles better than what it has been, and they have to identify a group of players, a bit what Liverpool have done over the last few years, and try and get players into, you know, gradually get them back, get United back.
Adam, I just want to ask you about Cunha as well, but also, does it worry you that Pereira's come in at Wolves and Amarin at Manchester United, both playing a similar system, and they've got an inferior squad, Wolves to Manchester United, and he's made sort of, it's a bigger turnaround basically.
I mean, it's obviously not ideal when you look at the cold hard facts and the stats towards it all, but I do think, like, when you look at the squad, the players that we have, they're not suited to the system that the manager wants to play. You could say, does he need to adapt to the players that he has to get better results, which you could argue, but then it's kind of like, does he change his philosophy and all that kind of stuff for players that aren't going to be there for that long? I think he's got a balancing act with that. It's been good to see us introducing some of the younger players into it, because I think if we're going to use this time in the league games mean nothing at the moment. So if we're going to use them, at least use them to give some players some minutes and give some to try and discover whether some of these younger players are good enough or not. I agreed with what Jim Ratcliffe said when he looked at the squad. Because of the injuries and stuff that have been here when he got here, the manager, he's hardly, like, you look at our spending and stuff and you go, well, they're spending a lot of money, the wage bill's quite high, but then the actual players that he's got to use, it doesn't reflect in those players, the wage bill and stuff. So I think it's not ideal. You can't be, I think we've lost about 15 or 16 league games. You never want to be in that kind of position. And you don't want to be in a position where you're just writing off league games for fun. But it's like at the weekend against Wolves, I thought we were probably the better team, should have taken our chances. You've got a goalkeeper who I don't think he trusts, and you've got a number 9 who couldn't hit a barn door at the moment. I've tried to keep faith with what Rasmus Højlund is doing. He's a young striker, kind of learning his trade in a difficult environment. Like when Wayne come through, he's got leaders around him. He's got obviously a settled manager, a settled team, a club, and players coming through at the moment haven't got any of that. But he doesn't do the basics as a striker. Like, his movement's poor. He's not trying to get onto the end of things. And I just feel if we did have a striker, maybe a few of the results would be different. But you've got to get short-term.
I think I understand what you're saying, but I think for Manchester United as a football club, over the next few years, they need to attract players to the football club. So when you're losing games of football and you're relying on, obviously, the Europa League now to get into the Champions League, if Man United don't win that and don't finish in the Champions League, then if I put my players hat on, I'm looking at it. I signed for Man United because of Alex Ferguson. And Man United at the time were going through a transition period as well, but I knew that Alex Ferguson would get that right. So if I'm a player now and I'm thinking Manchester United come in for me, I'll be looking at it thinking, well, the manager hasn't done great since he's gone in there. The losing games, how do we see this moving forward? And that's what I'll be looking at. Then you've got teams who are, Villas, Newcastles, who are coming up and challenging. And so as a player, that'd be my concern as a Man United fan now as well, is I think you still need to go and try and win football games. It's important. You can't just write off games in the Premier League because you want to win the Europa League. And you need that momentum as well to switch you, to switch you from losing games to then go and win games is very difficult. So I think, in my opinion, Man United should be playing the strongest team. I know I get playing kids, or you bring one in, or give a young player the last 20 minutes, but the importance of winning football games, going into the semi-final, going into the final, hopefully, and that building on to attack players. I think this is a really important few weeks now for Manchester United, and I think it has to be managed right, otherwise...
Yeah, if we go out on the 8th, I
could
think
be
the
very
second
difficult.
leg's on the 8th. If we go out, suddenly the season just... Everyone starts talking, the headlines are a little bit bigger, but I can't see the sense in kind of sticking with, you know, Eriksen. Like, why do we need to see him play? We know he's leaving in the summer, maybe try something different in there. Same with Højlund. We get the feeling this kind of experiment's over now, so why not give Cheeto a few minutes, see if he can adapt and be a part of the squad. And like we saw Harry Amas getting some minutes, Fredrickson at the back. I think I'd rather see us kind of put some faith in the youth than some of the players that have kind of let us down.
But he's not going to do that for the final. If
he's not.
Final.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, it's more important that Højlund gets minutes, for instance, and hopefully he gets 2 or 3 goals and gets a bit of confidence, because Højlund or Zerki, one of them is going to play probably in the final. So the importance of them getting momentum and confidence back before the final or going into the semi-finals is more important for this period in time. The youngsters will get their opportunities, but in this period, the youngsters might come in and then get left out, not even in the squad for the Europa League. So getting confidence into players now is really... He should be focusing, in my opinion, on what's his team going to be for the semi-final and how can I get confidence into this group of players, this group of 14 players, if you like. He needs to focus on them, in my opinion, rather than, you know, leaving players out, bringing young players in, then flipping it again. It's so hard.
I think he's in a weird position though, because ideally he does that. We're losing so many players to injuries. Yeah. And then Xerxes out for the rest of the season now. Just when he's not scoring many goals, but he's just kind of picking up some form and he's out. And I think there's the fear that if you do that in the games, in the league games, and you lose a few of them, then we haven't got an 11 for the final.
Obviously, that's always a fear, though, isn't it?
Balancing act.
Are you confident about Bilbao? You'll win the semi-final?
Honestly, I don't know. United could go and roll them over, or could get beat, you know, by 2 or 3. That's where they're at. You don't know. I hope so. Really hope so.
There was a really worrying period. Like, in the grand scheme of things against Lyon over both legs, I thought most of the time we were the better team. But when our heads really, really went. And in that period where they got back into the game, even with 10 men started controlling it, there was some alarming things there. And if we do have a spell like that against Bilbao, they'll beat us. Like, they will beat us. I don't see us being let off the hook against them.
And if we get into the final,
we'll
hesitation at all?
No problem. Spurs don't beat us in the final.
Neither of you will be there.
I know.
Although Bilbao.
Livy, I said at the top of the show that you'd have your chance to come back at Gareth over saying he'd love Liverpool to sign Kirkes. I mean, how does it feel after, you know, having such a brilliant season, being on this sort of journey? It feels that everyone's sort of looking at your club and thinking, you know, your players are linked with other clubs constantly, day in, day out. How do you find that as a supporter?
Yeah, I mean, we're just enjoying it, to be honest with you. I'm just loving it. This season's been amazing. So I'm just enjoying it. I don't want to start worrying too much about the future because I just want to enjoy what's happening now. And I think, you know, we've got such an ambitious owner now. You know, he's got such big plans. He's got a good strategy. Our recruitment is really, really good. So we're sort of like almost, our model is to be a bit of a platform club where we're bringing in these young players, giving them exposure in the Premier League, bringing on our academy lads as well. And I think we've got good succession planning. So whilst I'll be really sad, you know, to lose some of these players, I'm realistic and I've got faith that there's a bigger plan. And, you know, I want them all to go on and do well. And I'm just grateful for what they've all done for us this season, basically.
You know your club and your team and players better than any of us. You know, we watch games, watch highlights here and there. I mean, who is the real standout at Bournemouth? Who's like sort of the star that you think, oh, if there's one that we can try and keep hold of, because he is really special. I'd love to watch him for another 12 months.
Yeah, I mean, Howson is out of this world. He's amazing, and given he's so young, obviously he's really solid defender, good with the ball. He pushes forward with the ball as well for a centre-back. He really, really stands out. I fear we probably will lose him because of that. But yeah, he's a joy to watch.
What's the feel around the manager? Is there? Because I mean, you read things he's being linked with other clubs. I get that, but there was something came out I think a couple of weeks ago that he's almost thinking no, he wants to have another 12 months at least at Bournemouth.
Who wouldn't want to stay in Bournemouth?
Yeah.
You've got the sea, you've got the beach. He likes his cycling, his walking. You know, why would he go anywhere else? I think there's, like I said, we've got an ambitious owner, and all the plans have Iraola at the centre of them, and he's got empowerment. You know, he's the culture that the owner's kind of breeding across the whole club is really, really positive. So I think there's loads of reasons for him to stay. You know, he's got autonomy, he's left to get on and do the job. And also, you know, we complain as Bournemouth fans a bit sometimes about being a small club, you know, and you were saying the Big Six doesn't exist anymore. Well, that's music to our ears. I think sometimes it's an advantage for us because we go a little bit under the radar. So our manager can, you know, just get left to get on with it. There's not as much scrutiny and sort of external pressure as there is like Spurs, Man United, etc. And, you know, I think maybe that's a real advantage. You know, he's meeting with the owner supposedly this week, so we'll see what happens. I suppose you can't allow for that opportunity that just comes along. They offer him more money. Would he take that? Only he knows that. But I think there's loads of reasons for him to stay at Bournemouth, for sure.
Baz, I mean, thinking about Bournemouth and you think of where Everton are right now and you think of the teams who have, you know, you think the last few years have been really tough for Everton, but you see teams like Bournemouth, you know, really chasing European places. Does that give you a little bit of hope going forward into the new stadium? David Moyes in charge as well, that, you know, the good times might be coming back in the future?
Good times, interesting phrase, but yeah, definitely. I think...
I'll change it if you want.
No, great times would be nice. We've only lost 3 in 14 since Moyes come in, and that's, you know, from where we were. We hadn't scored in 9 of the previous 11 before he took over. I think City was the 3rd game we hadn't scored in, but, you know, we should have. But, yeah, I think with everything that's gone on, the owners and another billionaire joined this week to the board and things like that, I think they're getting all the backroom stuff in place. I think moving forward, David Moyes has shown that, you know, if you actually try to win games of football, you win some, you know, rather than just being terrified, sitting in your own box. So I think that's been a plus. And I think if you look at Everton's squad, I think the defence plays like a Champions League stat in terms of goals conceded. It's up there with that. Midfield, middle of the table. I think the forward areas are sort of bottom 3. If you break down the numbers and stuff, we just don't score enough goals. There's no goals there, and that's going to be the big sort of thing Everton have got to sort out over the summer, David Moyes. But I think what he's done is he's certainly given me the confidence that, you know, he will get it right, as in he'll make Everton higher up, put Everton higher up the table and go after teams like Bournemouth and Brighton and teams like that and try to get into that next pack. It won't be done overnight, but for once, Everton will have some money to spend this summer.
Well, that's, you know, we're looking ahead to next season, but the big thing for Everton right now is that, you know, the final game at Goodison, it's a 12 o'clock kick-off. What are your thoughts? There was a lot of talk about when you wanted the game, what time you wanted the game. Does that work for you? Everton fans happy with that?
I think, be honest, at the moment, football fans moan whatever time the kick-off would have been. There'd always be a reason why it shouldn't be. I think the biggest thing it seemed to be from the fan base and talking to them on our show and stuff was not the Monday, anything but the Monday. Then
anything but Carragher on Monday Night Football.
No, it's the after bit, isn't it? It's the, you know.
Oh yeah, going for the bevy and all.
But I think 12 o'clock. Listen, it means people who like a bevy can bevy all day, and
you're in that camp, aren't you?
And me, I don't drink, so. You know, as long as you get me Mars bar, me cup of coffee, I'll be all right. But, no, I think, listen, it's going to be a strange day, I think. Thinking, I was just saying to somebody before we started, because it was you before we started, I was sat there at half-time on a Saturday, just looking, thinking, this is my view for 2.5 more games, and that's it. You know, right on the halfway line. In fact, your dad was sat in front of me at the Leicester game. Great seat. Right there, and just thinking, I'm not going to have this view anymore. And that was the first time it sort of hit me that that's it, you know, in 2.5 games. So that Southampton game is going to be a bit of an emotional one, I think.
I want to ask you, your favourite moment at Goodison Park in all the years that you've been going to watch the Blues. What's the moment that sticks out?
Funnily enough, I was asked this week. There's a couple. Trevor Steven against Bayern Munich, the 3rd goal. That, knowing that, you know, at the Gladys Street end, I was at the front.
How old are you, Baz? Sorry for asking.
53.
Okay.
So I was...
work out how old you were,
I was 11, stood at the front, and when he knocked that in and just thinking, that's it, Bayern Munich were unbelievable. His goal wasn't bad against Arsenal as a 16-year-old, seeing that one, it was quite special. But it's hard, isn't it? You go back and you end up picking about 50 moments, you know. Andy Johnson's header against Liverpool was a good one. To make it 3-0. Not ever, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. Not the one I made a mistake for. Thank
no,
you.
not your one. Believe you, you're all right. You know, you're just dragging Lescott down for penalties. Yeah. Getting them no, listen, it probably, if I had to pick one, it will probably be Trevor Stevens that day. Although Graham Sharp's header against QPR to win the league wasn't a bad one either. So difficult.
Wayne, what's your greatest memory as a player and as a fan?
As a fan, there weren't many, to be honest. It's strange because
so what year would you have started?
So Barry Orne, obviously his goal, which kept us up, and Gareth Fowley as well.
Yeah.
Both times, I had a debate on should fans be on the pitch, but they have great memories. I was on the pitch after the game, and I remember I dug up a bit of grass and took it home and stuff. Yeah, they're probably the best moments, to be honest.
And as a player?
As a player, yeah, obviously my first goal in the Premier League against Arsenal. I'd have to say that was the...
You know what, a goal that doesn't get mentioned, obviously, you know, when you came back the second time, that goal you scored from halfway, did that get goal of the season?
No.
Didn't it? No, I thought it did.
Oh, Salah's one where he just cut in with his left foot and like a normal goal.
Normal goal.
I think he won the Puskás Award and everything for it.
And he only went, no disrespect, but he only went past Kouka, so it doesn't count.
No, that was because I'd been dropped actually. Then Unzi come in with Joe Royle, and obviously Unzi was with the 21, so they were promoting all the 21 players because he knew he weren't. Until Benny Beningame was playing ahead of me, and then Sam Allardyce was coming in after the West Ham game. So I think Sam had said to Unzi to play me, so I played midfield and scored a hat-trick. But that was but that was my first goal back when I re-signed for Everton at the Gladys Street as well to score a hat-trick. Yeah, so that was a good night as well.
Yeah, I was at that game, that Bayern Munich. I was too young to like understand how big that was. When I was at that game, the Barry Orne game as well, just before I went to Lillishore.
You're at the Newcastle game in the quarter. I know you were at Liverpool then, but when Dave watched...
No, I watched that in the Chaucer in Bootle. I remember that. Yeah. I went to the semi-final at Ellen Road. Yeah, obviously wasn't as good as... No, but I've got... Listen, I was an Everton fan as a kid, but even going there for Liverpool, for me, it was always the place to win. And we had, under Gerrard, we did well at Goodison and Old Trafford, but it was still winning at Goodison for me. It was even better than winning at Old Trafford, you know, for me. So I'll miss Goodison, you know, memories there, going there as a kid, how you got there on the bus with your mates and games and stuff like that. But you said there's a funny feeling, but it's almost like...
It was definitely
right,
it was
right
needed.
To move, isn't it?
It was needed just for the club, everyone. Clubs to you know, get investors into the football club and for the club to move forward. It was needed. As sad as it's going to be, obviously, going to Goodison the last game, it was definitely needed.
Well, you've been in the new stadium. What's it like?
Yeah, it still needs work doing. I've been a couple of times, went on a tour, and then I went to the under-21 game. Then it's a lovely stadium, to be fair, but all inside, and it still needs a bit of work doing, which I'm sure will be done. But yeah, it's really impressive.
Did either of you, when you played for like Man U or Liverpool, did either of you hear your family in the crowd, like giving you a sticker or anything?
You can't not hear the Carragher's, mate.
Yeah, we've got a good firm. No. Mine, I don't know what it was like for you, but when my family is still, when I say family, I'm talking like cousins and uncles and stuff like that. They wouldn't change, but to Liverpool from Everton. But like your dad and your brother and, you know, stuff like that, you know, but to be fair, I think if my brothers now, they're probably a little bit indifferent, you know what I mean? But I think they'd still go to the Everton game or, you know, stuff like that. But it's only really probably my dad. My mum and my dad who were like probably Everton when I was a kid, who were proper Liverpool now, and obviously my son, but he doesn't know any different. So, yeah, all my family stayed as Everton, really. I mean, what was it like?
Yeah, mine are obviously all Everton. My dad very rarely went to the United games. Whatever, yeah, so just big Evertonian, yeah. And I always remember I scored at Ellen Road. I might have been 17 then. We won 1-0. I think it was the first time we won there for like 50 years. And there's a picture where the fans have come onto the pitch. And obviously I didn't know it was. And then I just looked back on the picture, told me mates, my cousins, all on the pitch and that. So, yeah, but all my family are all... That was the one thing I was worried about when I re-signed for Everton was they're all going to be... At United, no one was on to me for tickets at all. It was fine, it was easy. When I went back to Everton, it was constant. Could you get me tickets?
So what was the reception like? Remember when you... was it 06, 07 when we won the league? And was it that one where you kissed the badge, or was that 08?
Yeah, no, that was...
You had a bit of stick from him. And...
06, 07, yeah. Yeah, it was tough because at the end of the day, you're a human being as well and you have emotions, and I love Everton, still do. And then the fans were on me, which I get from a certain point of view. And but then they, like, at me it's fine, but then you start going into your parents and your wife and whatever, and it gets too much, and that's why I've reacted that way, to be honest. Looking back, I shouldn't have, but yeah, it's just a reaction, so I got a little bit of stick for that as well.
Okay, listen, just before we finish, we've got a community question of the week from Anna from Hull.
I hope that's in the edit.
Right, I don't even know how I'm going to answer this one or where we're going to start. Which club has the most annoying fans and why?
So easy. It's Arsenal.
Arsenal, would they?
Oh, are we all
agreed?
All agreed?
Yeah, all agreed.
All agreed.
Why? I mean, I'd only from my social media, I'd say Arsenal. But what do they have a bigger? Do they have a bigger sort of profile on social media than most clubs? Arsenal. What is it?
It's all bad.
Flav, I'm not going to ask you because they're your biggest striker. You're always going to say Arsenal.
Yeah.
Gareth or
Of late, Arsenal. I wouldn't say 5 years ago. If you asked me, I wouldn't have said Arsenal. I'd have said probably United. United are still annoying, but it's just the Arsenal fact they haven't won anything and they're like constantly at you, like just constantly nibbling away. So yeah, if they win something, win.
That was like you 10 years ago.
Yeah, well, we've had a good 10 years, haven't we? But yeah, Arsenal fans are just so annoying. Yeah.
When we went and we got beat in like the 97th minute, 3-2, having gone ahead in the game at the Emirates a couple of seasons ago, after the match, they were so mean. I was so sad, I was crying.
Are you talking about actually in the stadium?
When we went out, they wouldn't let us in any pubs. I was like, just want a drink to drown my
Get
sorrows.
over it, yeah.
And it's like, no, you can't.
I never...
So yeah, I'd go along with that.
Man, do you know, he was, as a player going, it was horrible fans, was Blackpool. Honestly, we played Blackpool away a few times, and like...
Where's that on the map, by the way, Wayne?
By the sea.
We got beat by them 2 years in the same season. They were in the Roy Hodgson years, weren't they?
Charlie Adam and that.
Is it? I know they get the rivalry between fans of like, you know, Liverpool, Everton, Spurs, Arsenal, but like, you know, usually your big rivalries. Who do you look at it?
We haven't
rather
got
than
any
say your
anymore.
rivalries?
It was Derby, but we'll never play them again.
What about Leicester?
No, Leicester want to be our rivals, but it's not. When you're talking about annoying fans, and seeing as they're not here either, like Brentford talking about their XG and how they recruit players better than anyone else, like they've always annoyed me, but...
Well, as a West Brom, but it's brilliant. Now we're mathematically safe and they've pretty much, well, they're not going to get playoffs. Dragging some of the tweets up and posts up from December when they were saying Wolves are falling apart, they're going to come down. Yeah, that was a nice feeling. But again, we haven't really... COVID was the last time we played West Brom other than the FA Cup, so we don't really have any back and forth. Villa are a little bit, but to be fair, they're not too bad. I would agree with the Arsenal shout, though, some of their fans.
Gareth, who are you going for?
I mean, a lot of this is like it's almost like a social media question, isn't it? And I think Arsenal do seem to have the fair share of cranks who like, honestly, all season long, I've just been like every time I log into like Twitter, X, whatever you call it these days, there seems to be like, you know, in the rage bait section, the for you know, at the top there will be an Arsenal fan somehow doing down what we're doing that week or that month, or that it's not the real league title, or everyone's being crap and that's why you're winning it. And it's always got some bite and some bang, and you're like, and I try to ignore them, but it's dead hard. You know, everything's sort of like schemed to get a reaction out of you now, isn't it? And I'm probably feeding it now by calling them cranks.
Baz, I'm going to finish on you, because I'm expecting what your answer might be.
Not you, no. I stay off social media now. Just don't bother with it because it's cause of that. I was having this conversation with, I think you was it Greg before, like before social media, didn't mind anyone. Obviously, you had the Liverpool thing, didn't you, with Everton, and obviously everyone did that. Oh, you Flav, wasn't it? Now, everyone's having shots at everyone, but West Ham and Newcastle seem to hate Everton and vice versa. I'm like, where did the Newcastle rivalry come from? I don't know. I mean, fair play, they just won a trophy, but that's always seemed to have traction. And West Ham as well with Everton. I don't know whether...
The Moyes
I don't know, though, because it seemed to be... I seem to remember when they had Payet, because remember they beat us at Goodison, and they were everywhere, how big they were. And I was just thinking, we've got Roberto Martinez who doesn't want to defend, so no wonder he won the game. But I don't know. But the Newcastle one might... I don't know whether it come... No, he's a great fella, but at that time he didn't want to defend, did he? We were winning 2-0, he put Numan Niasse up front instead of... No, we were down to 10.
Let it go.
No, we were down to 10
grudges, Baz,
I haven't forgotten. You know why? Because I'm thinking of Rafa Benitez in the head.
Oh, yeah.
But that probably them, but I don't get involved. Listen to this. You can find an argument anywhere, can't you, on Twitter if you want one. So.
Well, people say on Twitter, don't they? There's always an argument that ends up talking about Rafa Benitez.
Well, there you go.
Exactly. So we finished on Rafa anyway. But listen, that is another brilliant episode of the Fan Debate brought to you by Sky Bet.